I want to talk in something: diligence in prayer, seriousness in prayer. You cannot be diligent in prayer and not be serious. Being diligent in prayer means being serious. It is not a once a year thing or once every 6 months or maybe quarterly, but it is being serious in speech and in action. I can advise you that a prayerless church is a powerless church. As a prayerless person is a powerless person. You are strong, and as the word is strong, a prayer or a weak as the word as weak as the lack of prayer. Somebody says, it is no matter how often I pray, but it is that I pray. It is important that you do not say, I pray when I get around to it, but you are still talking about prayer being priority. The same way that you chase money and it is so serious to you is that you have to get the money that you need. So should prayer become a priority in your life? Because if you knew how to pray, you would not have to chase the money. Instead, the money would come to you. Now you are studying about prayer. When you are diligent in prayer, you become determined. If you are angry, your stomach notifies you. It tells you that you are angry. There is no need for an angel to appear to you at 6 o'clock in the morning and tell you that at 7 a.m. it will be time to eat. You do not need an angel to appear to you at 9 o'clock and say to you, well, you know it is time for supper. No. There is something that tells you that you are hungry. In that the same way, there is a spirit in man, and in inspiration of Almighty gives in understanding that there is a spirit in you that tells you it is time to pray. And if either spirits removes you, they are dead. You are hopeless. You will lack every good thing. Don't ask yourself whether you are serious in prayer. Instead, tell yourself, I am going to be serious about prayer. Tell your neighbor that you are going to be serious in prayer. Don't say to yourself, I hope something in the future. I will learn how to pray. Say to yourself, now is the time for me to pray. So one needs to be diligent, especially in the area of prayer. You must flow easily. It is important to be of prayer. You must flow easily. Liquid when it comes to prayer. It is your son entering into the presence of God. Then you must come out as a sponge. You know when you are a sponge into water, it absorbs it. But if you put a stone into water, nothing will happen. You must become a sponge in the presence of God. When it becomes a sponge in His presence, you absorb His presence, and His presence is full of joy. Some people, prayer is obligation to others. It is basically a burden. When you say pray, they have questions. They say it is not necessary to pray. I have questions. They say it is not necessary to pray. At this time, instead, I will find a convenient time. When you become liquid, you flow easily in the presence of God. Unity in prayer. There is an old Negro spiritual that says, every time I feel a spirit moving in my heart, I pray. It might be wonderful lyric, but it cannot be true in our context, because moving in heart to pray, then it might sometimes be alone. So it is very important that we set a prayer as our priority. Say to yourself, I will pray. Have a priority in prayer. In the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 42 says, they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayer. We see a pattern here. They continued in the word, in the fellowship of breaking of bread. That is basically communion and prayers. This was a pattern in the New Testament of early church. You must go on to give a constant attention prayer. Prayer is not telling God how lucy you are or how good you are. Prayer is not telling God how much you failed. It is not telling Him of all your inabilities. Prayer is communicating with God and then waiting for a response. If we were having a conversation and you did all the talking, and afterward you say to me, see you another time, most likely I would feel offended that I was not given a chance to respond. Take prayer as a serious tool, and you shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of living. May God bless you. May God be with you. May God lead you. May God help you in your